Kelly, thank you very much for joining us. We begin with some breaking news because Colombian authorities say that 76 people have died in a plane crash involving football players from a Brazilian club. Police say that 5 people have survived this crash. The plane was transporting members from the Chapecoense football team to Colombia. Now, it took off from Bolivia and crashed near to Colombia's Medellin International Airport. The crash site is in a mountainous area outside Medellin. You are now looking at pictures from a hospital where the 5 survivors have been taken. It's being reported that 3 of them are players from the Brazilian football club. And a local mayor has said that overnight rescue crews were able to pull some passengers alive from the wreckage of the aircraft. Let's listen in to what he had to say about the scene of the crash.
The main objective is to rescue survivors. So far, we can say that 5 have been rescued. The last one was just brought into the hospital. That's our priority. The crash site is very hard to access. It's raining hard now at the crash site, and the access is very challenging. It's sad, not just for Brazil, but for the whole world.
That was the local mayor speaking a short time ago, and uncertainty continues to cloud this crash. But 2 pictures posted on social media give us a sense of the aftermath. The first one purporting to show the wreckage of the flight CP2933. Now, if you zoom in on this picture, you can see the last 3 digits there, 933. The other chilling picture showing the logo of the Chapecoense soccer club scuffed from the impact and covered in dirt. Meanwhile, selfies capturing the last moments of the team together before the crash have surfaced online. They were posted to Snapchat by defender Alan Richel, who reportedly also survived. He's among the first survivors to have been recovered from the wreckage and is being treated in the hospital. Just a short while ago, Chapecoense posted this statement on their Facebook page. Given the contradictory information, the club will await an official statement from the Colombian authorities before issuing any official statement. May God bless our athletes, management, the journalists, and everyone else flying with the delegation. The tragedy has also prompted the South American Football Confederation to call off all upcoming games until further notice. The Confederation said its president is on his way to Medellin and is in close contact with local authorities. Let's bring in Mark Meadows now from our sports desk. He is following the latest developments. He joins us now in the studio. So what more do we know, Mark, about this football team in particular?
Well, they're an up-and-coming team. They might not be well known outside of South America, but they've done phenomenally well this season to get to the final of the Copa Sudamericana. For people who don't know, the Copa Sudamericana is the equivalent of the Europa League here in Europe. It's the second-tier competition in South America. But just a few years ago, they were a small club just playing in the state of Santa Catarina. They've been Santa Catarina champions a number of times, but they came back up to the top division of Brazilian football, Serie A, in 2014. They've really held their own in that division, and that's how they managed to qualify for the Copa Sudamericana. And, you know, it's not going too far to say that Wednesday's match against Atletico Nacional in Medellin was the biggest match in the history of that club, and very sadly that game obviously will not now take place.
So a Cinderella story that we now know has a very tragic ending here. What does this mean for Brazil?
It'll be tough on them because, you know, even though they're obviously big rivals in Brazilian football, once a Brazilian side gets to a final, and especially with it being a smaller club where other fans, you know, don't really have anything much against them, I think most of Brazil would have been rooting for Chapecoense to do well in the first leg of this final on Wednesday. So it will hit them very hard. And, you know, they are the biggest club in Santa Catarina, so for the state itself, it's a huge tragedy as well.
What has been the reaction from the South American football authorities?
They're obviously very shocked. I mean, as we saw there from social media, the game has been basically called off, and all South American football matches for the foreseeable future are off. Any football-related events are off as a mark of respect. The Conmebol, the organisation that organises South American football, they've said that the president is going there to Medellin to see what he can do, how he can help. He just wants to be there as soon as possible, basically, to be with the football players.
There's some new footage that has been circulating online, and that is of the team as they were ready to embark on the plane in Brazil. What more do we know about how they were preparing?
As I say, it was the biggest game of their careers. I mean, they did really well to beat San Lorenzo, a very, very big Argentinian side last week. Quite a shock result to win that one. So they would have been so excited. This was the pinnacle of many of their careers, because most of the players are young players. They're not international players. I couldn't find one that has played for Brazil. There is one player who's actually linked to Germany, who has been on the books of Hoffenheim, a player called Bitico, who's back in Brazil now. So, yeah, it was such a massive, massive game, and you can see on those pictures how excited the players were to be going to this game. It just makes it feel so much more tragic.
And just to recap for our viewers, you have just been seeing some images of this Chapecoense, football team as they were about to embark on a plane. They were heading for Colombia. We now know from authorities that 76 people have died in that crash. There are 5 survivors. Mark Meadows, thank you very much for your analysis. Let's turn to some other news now, because the contaminated reactor